Late afternoon on the South California coast, a young girl steps carefully across dark rock pools, watching small fish move between strands of seaweed as waves break quietly nearby. She crouches beside the water, noting the shapes of shells, crabs, and anemones caught in the tide. The air is cool, heavy with salt and mist. Out beyond the cliffs, the Pacific stretches calm and grey-blue under the rising sun. She pauses for a moment, listening to the water move through the rocks, already imagining the years ahead, protecting and studying these beautiful marine ecosystems. Hello and welcome to the second episode of Voices of the Reef. I'm so excited to be here today with you all, and today we're going to talk about my journey into marine biology, why I was interested in it, what sparked my passion, and how I have got to where I am today. So, a little bit about me. Ever since I was really young, I've had such a love and passion for marine life. I used to live in San Diego, California, up until the age of 13, and I would always bug my mum and dad to take me to SeaWorld. Now, I know that SeaWorld is a very kind of contentious topic, but I truly think that if my parents didn't take me to SeaWorld, then maybe I wouldn't have become a marine biologist, because it allowed me to see these animals close up and it allowed me to spark my interest and love for marine life. Now, of course, I would not promote SeaWorld now or recommend that anyone goes, but I feel like zoos and aquariums do have their place in conservation. And maybe we could do an episode just dedicated to this conversation, because it's a very nuanced topic with lots of mixed opinions. So yes, I would go to SeaWorld and I would see these beautiful animals, dolphins, orcas, turtles, but my favorite enclosure, and I can remember it as clearly as anything, was the shark enclosure. It was moody, dark, a little bit mysterious, maybe even a little bit creepy, and you would kind of descend down into this dark dwelling. And I remember walking through the shark tunnel and looking above and seeing all the sand tiger sharks with their scary teeth, and what amazing animals. I just loved sharks. And I'm glad that we've got a shark behind us today, a tawny nurse shark, very appropriate. And my mum would read me this book called Hungry, Hungry Shark, and it was all about sharks, a factual book. And I would always pester my mum to read it as young as I can remember. So yes, I've always had this love for marine life, but particularly sharks. I just think they are amazing animals and so incredibly misunderstood. So growing up knowing that I wanted to try and save the world or save the world, it puts a lot of pressure on a young person. One person can make a huge difference in not only their close environment around them and the people around them, but also on a much larger scale. Look at people like David Attenborough, Steve Backshall, Liz Bonin in the UK. They are kind of like my idols, and I truly look up to them. I wanted to save the world. I wanted to save ocean life and marine life. And it hasn't been an easy road, but we've got here to the beautiful Maldives. I love my job because I meet people and I educate people that necessarily wouldn't know these things about the ocean, and I'm making a difference, and that's what's truly important to me and to my life. So yeah, growing up knowing that I wanted to save marine life and save the world, there was only kind of like one option for me. There was a point in time where I wanted to be a vet. That quickly changed to being a marine biologist. So I moved back to the UK when I was 12 or 13 and studied in A levels. I chose geography, biology, and chemistry. I wanted to be quite like science-based A levels, as I was told that's kind of what's best if you want to do a science degree. My A levels were incredibly challenging. I had a lot going on at the time. My mental health wasn't amazing. And if it wasn't for my mum and my support network at my school, shout out Attleborough High School, I truly don't think I would have finished my A levels because I was that down and unwell. So with the help of them and my mum, I persevered through. I didn't do great in my A levels, I won't lie, I did not do great, but I was able to get into Bangor University. I chose to do marine vertebrate zoology, which is an amazing course ran at Bangor University in North Wales. And Bangor Uni is quite well known for marine sciences. They have an amazing marine science research building. They have their own research ship. Uni was a journey, to say the least. I maybe partied a little bit too hard in my first year. My second and third years of university were particularly my favorite because I was starting to think about what I wanted to do with my dissertation. And of course, being all about sharks, I chose to do a shark-focused dissertation. So I was looking at the international shark attack file and basically trying to understand what recreational activities make people more prone to a shark attack. And I went through the entire shark attack file and I basically found that spearfishing is what is most likely to get you to get attacked by a shark. And then I also spoke a little bit about in my dissertation about how we should be changing the language in media around shark attacks, stop using negative language around human-shark interactions. That was my undergrad, and then COVID hit in the last couple of months of my third year of university. So I moved home. I was caring for my grandmother, living with her. She was very unwell at the time, as well as writing my dissertation and completing my bachelor's degree. That was really, really challenging. Of course, it was challenging for everyone. I then decided to take a couple of years out. I was a carer. Then I decided it was time to go and do my master's. I chose to go to University of Exeter in the Falmouth campus, and I chose to do marine environmental management. I was always quite interested in policy, so the policy side of that degree really caught my eye. I noticed that you also got to go to the Maldives for a field trip, a 2-week field trip during the course. The master's degree was amazing. Julie Hawkins, Callum Roberts, ran by them. They were phenomenal, and I learnt an incredible amount of stuff surrounding policy, but also biology and ecology of Indian Ocean coral reefs. This was kind of the pivot into what my passion and main interest is now. I'll talk a little bit more about that. With my master's, there was a couple of places open to students to come and do like a research for their thesis in the Maldives in collaboration with MUI, Maldives Underwater Initiative, that is based at Sig Centres Lamu. It was like the night before the deadline to apply for these positions. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to apply. I probably won't get it, but why not? So I was up at like 10 p.m. writing this proposal as to why I should be chosen for this place. And it was all about bottlenose and spinner dolphins and their interactions with tourism boats in the Maldives. And I was like, wow, this sounds really interesting. I love dolphins. It would just be amazing to work with MUI. So I applied, and then a couple of days later, I got an email from Julie saying, I think you're the right candidate for this thesis project. And I was like, oh my God, I was crying. I was so, so happy. Then a few weeks later, we headed out to the Maldives, and there was 3 of us staying an extra 3 months to collect our research data. I had never really seen a healthy coral reef before I came to the Maldives. Like I said in my previous podcast, I went to Australia, the Great Barrier Reef, but it was just completely dead, and I was heartbroken by this. So by the time I was 23, 24, I'd never actually seen a healthy coral reef with my own eyes other than, on TV. I got in the water off this island and I saw the most beautiful, healthy coral reef. And I was just in awe from what I was seeing, the colors of the fish, the intricate structures of the coral, and it just captured my heart, really. Then we spent a very intense 2 weeks learning all about coral reefs, learning about the different species of coral and reef fish, and had an exam at the end of the 2 weeks. Then we headed off to Six Senses, me and these two other students, with Julie and Callum. I spent a lot of my time diving, snorkeling. I was in the water as much as I could be, and being surrounded by other people who had the same passion as me. It was just an amazing experience. And the team at MUI at Six Senses are so passionate, so knowledgeable. I was spending more and more time surrounded by coral, learning more about coral. It just captured my imagination and my attention. So I completed my thesis, I handed it in, and then I went back to the UK. And at this point, I was like, right, I need to get as much practical experience as I can. And I was applying for paid positions, but also unpaid positions as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about the importance of practical experience further on through the episode. I saw an advertisement come up for Frigate Island in the Seychelles. Jess, who I was working with at Six Senses, she was my dissertation supervisor. She told me that Frigate Island would be an amazing opportunity and that I should apply for it. I did an interview and I got a position. So in the September of 2024, I headed out to Seychelles. Never in a million years did I think I would be going to live in Seychelles for 6 months, working with hawksbill turtles, nesting hawksbill turtles, doing bird surveys, coral reef surveys. I learned so much from those 6 months. And I also met my wonderful fiance. So while I was in Seychelles, I was given the opportunity by Anna, who runs the conservation department at Frigate Island, to do my own kind of research project. I chose to do coral reef diseases. So this was something that I was doing a lot of research on by myself, and I knew that doing a research project on this would be incredibly interesting, especially because this hadn't been done around the reefs of Frigate Island before. So I designed my own research project. I spent time collecting my data, and the more I was researching it and measuring it and just being around it, the more and more my love grew for corals. Remember, I said I was all about sharks, but now my passion and my love turned to corals. They are the basis of marine ecosystems, and they're so incredibly important. They're foundational for the health of our ocean. That just captivated my heart, and I just fell in love with coral. And I wanted to learn everything I could about it. I wanted to learn all of the species. I spent so much time analyzing my data, learning the different species, learning about coral diseases. And I then knew that I had found my niche. And I always thought previously that it was going to be sharks, but no, I was wrong. It was going to be corals. Whilst my kind of internship was coming to an end, I was applying for lots of jobs in Seychelles and in Maldives. And I had quite a few interviews and then found the advertisement for Outrigger. They were looking for a marine biologist. And I sent in my CV. A couple days later, they were like, "Can you interview?" And I did the interview, and then they said that they wanted to hire me, literally in the same interview. So I was just so happy. I had a couple weeks at home before I then moved out to Maldives permanently as my first paid marine biologist role. It was like my dreams had come true. Never in a million years did I think that I would be moving permanently to the Maldives and being able to be surrounded by what I love and I'm so passionate about every single day. So I was so grateful that I had been given that opportunity, and I absolutely love my job. I spend my time educating guests and working on my coral restoration, which I just love. I could do it all the time, all day, every day, as well as community outreach, going to schools, teaching kids all about marine conservation and education is something that I truly love and am very passionate about. And don't get me wrong, this kind of job that I have would not be for everyone. I'm away from my family, I'm away from my partner, my friends, and that is very difficult. But I think because I love my job as much as I do, I'm so incredibly passionate. And my coral restoration site, my coral frames are like my little babies. That makes it worth it in a way and distracts me from missing my people as much as I do. But I think an important discussion to have is about practical experience. In conservation in general, practical skills are sometimes valued even more so than what degrees you have, your education history. I would recommend to anyone who is interested in becoming a marine biologist or any kind of conservationist to get as much practical experience as possible. Now, this can look like unpaid internships, volunteering, but also like pay to experience volunteer work as well. I know that's a controversial topic, but if that's something that you are financially able to do, then lots of these programs are able to give really amazing experience and practical skills. So to give you a background of kind of what volunteering and free work I did before my paid role, I volunteered in an animal shelter in the US. During my bachelor's degree, I did a small internship at the Anglesey Sea Zoo for a few months, and this gave me aquarist skills, which I can now put on my CV. And I also spent the most amazing year and a half volunteering with the Owls Trust in Llandudno, a wonderful charity that rehomes and rehabilitates owls that have either been ex-pets or have become injured in the wild and can't go back out to live. So I spent my time cleaning their cages and feeding them and educating schools and guests. And these are all transferable skills that can be put onto your CV or kind of like personal statement for a job application. And I also became a British Divers Marine Life Rescue volunteer. So I paid a small amount of money, I think it was about £95, to do seal rescue. So we were taught how to refloat cetaceans, whales and dolphins that could have been beached, but also how to like weigh, measure and safely catch seals that have been injured on UK beaches and need to be rehabilitated or taken to a vet. They are a wonderful NGO and charity, UK based, who save many, many seals every single year. And this is all transferable skills that can be put onto your CV as well. Then, of course, I did Frigate Island, which is an unpaid internship, 6 months. So I think having all of these skills, all of this kind of like work experience, volunteering, it shows your passion, but also that you have knowledge and skills in certain areas. And this can all be put on to your CV, as well as like statistical skills, QGIS, and RStudio as well. You should definitely put on your CV. Another thing that I would say is super important if you would like a career in marine biology or just wildlife conservation in general is to network. Talk to as many people in the space as you can, make friends, discuss, share, follow, comment on people's social media content, and this opens up a world of opportunities. I think the more people that you speak to, the more you can learn and open yourself up to cool opportunities. The marine biology space, especially kind of like tropical marine biology, is quite a small community. So it's really nice to kind of network with these people and have relationships with others to share knowledge and learn from them as well. Many marine biology jobs don't look like, tropical biologists living in these really beautiful island countries. Many marine biology jobs can be land-based. So I have people messaging me on like TikTok and Instagram asking like, I can't swim or I can't dive. Does this mean that I can't be a marine biologist? And this is 100% not the case. You, of course, can be a marine biologist if you can't swim. You can do lab-based marine biology or working for surveying companies, so doing lots of like mapping, statistical analysis, policy writing, and also like lobbying too. I know this is a little bit more like on the policy side of things, but these are all skills that if you've done a degree in marine biology, you can then transfer to these jobs. So all marine biology jobs look incredibly different, and there's so many different kind of like niches and topics for marine biologists to pursue. Marine biology jobs are incredibly competitive. There is not many kind of like jobs in comparison to the amount of people that have studied marine biology. So it can be very competitive. And that's why getting as much practical experience as possible, as well as if you're able to, your PADI scuba, PADI freediver, doesn't have to be PADI, of course. This shows that you have the skills and that you commit time outside of work to your career. And that's something that hiring managers really like to see on a CV. You have to apply for many jobs before one sticks. This is quite a common experience for people in conservation jobs in general. So please don't get disheartened if you're applying for lots of jobs and nothing is sticking, because something will. I think it's also important to discuss that conservation jobs in general are not very well paid. They seem to require lots of practical experience, degrees, but then they either want you to pay for the experience or they pay very low salaries. It's really difficult because I don't do this job for the money. I do it because I love what I do. I'm so incredibly passionate about what I do, and there's nothing else I would rather do. So as long as you've got that kind of belief in yourself and that passion yourself, then as long as you can live on the money, then it doesn't really matter. That's my opinion anyways, of course. It's different for everyone, and of course your financial situation. It's great if you are a outgoing kind of independent person, then you can go and live on the island where your accommodation and food is included, and then you don't really have any expenses. So your salary is like, you can either save it up or spend it on what you like. It always makes me so happy when guests come to the resort and say, I want to be a marine biologist, or my child wants to be a marine biologist, because our oceans need all the help that they can get. It really warms my heart to know that there will be people to carry on this passion of protection for our oceans and the animals in them when our generation of marine biologists are no longer here. And it was David Attenborough's birthday a couple days ago. What an absolute legend. He is such an inspiration to so many people, including myself. He's such a pioneer for wildlife conservation. I don't think there will be anyone really that can compare to him, but I just wanted to shout out David Attenborough. So I wanted to just make this episode to introduce me and my journey into marine biology for anybody who is either interested or wants to be a marine biologist themselves. I hope this gave you kind of like a good understanding and idea of how different people's journeys into marine biology can look. And it's no kind of like one set path or one set road. I had people during my bachelor's degree who were in their 40s and they were doing a degree in marine biology. And I just thought that was really amazing, because it's never too old to pursue your passion and your dream. But please message me on Instagram or TikTok if you have any questions. I am more than happy to be a mentor for anyone who would like to pursue marine biology as a career. I think it's really nice to have a connection with someone in the marine biology space. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm sorry the view wasn't as beautiful as my last episode. We will be returning to the beach in a few episodes' time, but it might not be the same kind of beach. There's somewhere I'm going that I'm very excited about, and I'm hoping to record an episode on a special beach somewhere else around the world. But thank you so much for listening to my second episode of Voices of the Reef. I will leave 3 options down below of what I'm going to speak about in my next episode, and you can vote for the topic that you would like to hear me talk about. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Bye.